Welcome to the Waterboy and Equipment Manager
I
Podcast.
knew it.
I'm your host, Case Charania.
My name is
Nabil Hassan Ali.
I guess I'm Shaban Samani.
Let's do our best not to make the listeners' ears bleed on the first episode of the new year. By the way, Happy New Year to you, listener. With us, we have two very special guests. We were on their show yesterday. They are on our show today. Please introduce yourself, boys.
Hello, my name is Asif Lakhani. I'm the co-host of the Bears, Birds, and Brews podcast. That's Bears, Birds, and Brews, like Chicago Bears, Atlanta Falcons, and craft beer. We talk about sports, we talk about beer. And when I say we, it's me, Asif Lakhani, and my co-host,
Nabil Alani. I'll be going as Nab because there's way too many Nabils on this podcast right now. So I'll be
There's
Nab.
no
for
Bill
today.
Mafia is back.
There is no such thing as too many Nabils.
Yeah, there are too many actually.
Says you, Nabil. Anyway, where can we find you, boys?
Bears, Birds, and Brews on Twitter, Bears, Birds, and Brews on Instagram, and even Facebook as well, I believe. Yeah, I think Asif expanded that real quick. So we're all there.
Yeah, at Bears, Birds, and Brews, like he said, and on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, Bears, Birds, and Brews, Bears, Falcons, beer, Asif, Nab, Safe. What's going on? Happy New Year, man. Thanks for having us.
Happy New Year, boys.
Yeah,
Happy New Year to you, all of you boys. We haven't gotten to record a podcast since the turn of the new year, and it started off pretty okay, I would say. El Presidente continues bitching as normal. It's okay. We're counting down to the end. Only 12 more days. Woo-hoo!
Okay,
Anyway.
thank you for clarifying that because I didn't know if it was Donald Trump or fucking Dave Portnoy.
Both.
Same.
Both. Why not? Both. At WBEM Pod on Instagram and on Twitter and on YouTube. We are the Waterboy and Equipment Manager Podcast. Now we're going to bring back the segment that we've been neglecting for just a couple of weeks, but 2 weeks of the NBA, we've kind of built up a rapport at this point. So we're going to hit you with our weekly segment, which is, that's right. If you don't know, now you know. Shaban, take it from here, my man.
So before we touch on anything else,
Sorry.
Before we talk about anything else, we gotta touch on Paul Westphal, Hall of Fame player and coach. We talked about him a few episodes ago. He was diagnosed with brain cancer, and he passed away recently at the age of 70. Paul Westphal was he won a championship with the Boston Celtics in 1974. That was with John Havlicek, John Chaney, Don Nelson, pretty good company there. But he is most known for his career in Phoenix as both a player and a coach. His time in Phoenix, he had like 22.5 points a game, 5.6 assists, almost 2 steals, playing with Phoenix from 1976 to 1980. And then he also coached for the Suns from around the early 90s to around the time Charles left. And he coached like that was the Charles Barkley, Kevin Johnson, Dan Morley, Danny Ainge Suns that they went to the NBA Finals, and they lost to Michael Jordan, and they lost to the Houston Rockets with Hakeem Olajuwon. He has a coaching record of 318 and 279. But as a coach for the Suns, he had a record of 191 and 88. He was outstanding player, outstanding coach, and he will be missed.
Absolutely.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Shaban, what else you got for us? We got NBA updates.
So we're bringing back the Cove update.
Yeah.
It's only one now, but Kevin Durant has been exposed to COVID, quote unquote exposed, and per the league protocols, he will have to quarantine for 7 days. This will also goes into like the league's updated mask wearing rules. Players they have to wear masks when they're on the bench before they enter the game, and they're recommended to wear a mask when they go back to the bench. Just to stop the spread, because lately a few players have been testing positive, and it's not great. Like some other injury updates, we got Derek White will be missing time indefinitely because he had a stress fracture in his toe, and TJ Warren, most notably, who is a huge piece for the Indiana Pacers.
In the bubble.
Yeah, especially in the bubble. God damn, what a guy. TJ Warren suffered a stress fracture in his foot, and he will be out for a long time. And but it doesn't look like the Pacers are really missing him all that much because
Sucked.
yeah, but it really does suck. It really does. Like TJ Warren's a great player. He was huge asset for Indiana, and hopefully I think it's the same foot that he had a plantar fasciitis on. But yeah, hopefully he gets a speedy recovery.
Well, get well soon, Derek White. Get well soon, TJ Warren, and hopefully Kevin Durant. You are well. You're just quarantining. Case Players Anonymous. What are we doing this week? Go ahead, stump us yet again.
I mean, all right, look, I have an easy one and I have a hard one.
Do the hard one. It's not fun.
That's what she said. Do the
All right,
easy
so-
one.
We've got Time Lord or Boo Butt.
Okay, so
Oh,
Time Lord is Grant Williams, Robert Williams.
No.
Robert Williams.
Oh, damn. Someone's smarter than I thought.
Yeah, so give me. So I guess you have to do the Nabil and give me the hard one.
All right, so we've got Cobra
Wait, what?
and Wolverine.
You said
Cobra and
what?
Wolverine.
Wolverine. Okay, give us some details on this one.
Drafted 6th overall in 2014. Career stats, 10
What
points
team?
a game.
Is
I'm
it-
not going to give you
what-
everything. You got the first one off rip. 3.5 rebounds, 4 assists.
And just to clarify, Cobra and Wolverine is one person, correct?
It's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
person, 2 separate nicknames.
6th overall,
2014 draft.
2014. Who was drafted? In
Hell was in that
2014?
draft.
Was that Dame Lillard?
Celtics drafted him.
Jalen Brown?
Oh,
No, Jalen
No,
Brown's
Jalen
like
Brown
number one
was
overall.
17.
That's way too early. No, that's way too early.
Celtics
Uh,
2014.
oh, what? Marcus Smart?
There you go.
hey,
Nice.
Yes, let's
There
go.
you go.
Yeah, dude.
Dude,
Yeah,
you know
it's
his
funny.
middle
It's
name is
funny.
Osmond?
Who says Nab only knows football? Come on, man.
it was Chetty Osman.
That was what?
Oh wait, never mind. Sorry.
Marcus Smart, bro.
It's Marcus Smart.
He said
Come on.
Chetty
How are
Osman.
you looking shit up? No, his middle name is
I thought Kay said Chetty Osman. I was like, what the fuck?
well, one, it's SETI, but you know.
Nabil, come on, man. Bring it together. All right. That was Players Anonymous. Apparently, Case has something special for us today that was, as you can tell, unplanned and not really prepared for. What Case? What is it, man? What do we
So
have?
I got a question for you guys. You know, it's a deep thinking question.
Oh god.
And some of you dick writers will have a hard time with this, but who has been more impactful to the game or inspirational to the game of basketball? LeBron James or Steph Curry?
Inspirational?
Or
Inspirational.
impactful. Inspirational?
Well,
It's both.
what is inspiration?
Yeah, what do you mean by inspiration?
Who has influenced the game more?
Oh,
So
LeBron. right?
impactful then.
The game of basketball,
I think
not a game of basketball.
Yeah, I think
The
Like
game
the
of
sport.
basketball? Oh, okay.
it's Steph Curry.
I mean, yeah, it's Steph Curry.
Yeah.
I mean, like Steph Curry changed the game. LeBron just dominated the game.
Yeah.
I think
makes
I think
sense. Yeah.
Any
like-
disagreements?
Yeah,
I mean,
Steph
no, I
Curry
think the logic
definitely
makes
made it
sense.
more of a shooting league now with Steph Curry. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, there's going to be, 5th and 6th graders that learn how to shoot 3-point basketballs before they can actually have the arm strength to do so because Steph Curry has made the game that necessary. There will be rec leagues where kids will shoot more threes than mid-range jumpers because that's the NBA now, and Steph
Alright.
is influenced to that.
I gotta ask
So
him. What way were
y'all
you
are
expecting
smarter
us to
than the
dick ride?
homies. LeBron.
Oh.
Because
Okay.
in one of my group chats, I brought up this question, and everyone fucking said LeBron James, and they would not listen to
mean-
reason.
I would, just to play devil's advocate here, I would say the case for LeBron James is that Magic Johnson was very influential on the game of basketball. So if like LeBron James is Magic Johnson 2.0, maybe he's not the original. However, basketball and the NBA achieved like national prominence in the 80s during the Lakers-Celtics rivalry. So now for LeBron James to bring that style of basketball back, and to do the things that he's done as a point forward, and like he's even revolutionized that position of what a point forward is, because he's really like a point center. I mean, in his prime, which he's arguably still, and he could play 1 through 5 on the court. And then on top of that, if you look at Cleveland and you look at Miami and now you look at Los Angeles, I mean, he's had a major impact in 3 different cities with 3 different franchises. And one of the few players, easily to have won the championship with multiple franchises, let alone lead them there. Again, this is just me playing devil's advocate, but I do think there's a valid case for LeBron James. And lastly, before I kick it to my buddy Nab, for the listener, I'm wearing a Lakers hoodie. I am a diehard Lakers fan, even though I like the Hawks too. Does it somewhat influence my decision? Maybe, but I think objectively you can say this is LeBron's influence on the game, and it is comparable to what Steph Curry has done.
So I'm going to pull what I said back, and I'm going to say it's LeBron, but because we have super teams now, thanks to LeBron. And that's big. That's a bigger impact
That's a good
than the
point.
shooting.
Well, I mean, do we credit that to LeBron? Because we've had super teams before LeBron, right?
Well,
I
it's not
mean-
more-
Yeah, so the
but not
Celtics
the
were the
villainized-
original super team.
But they weren't as villainized. I
Yes,
mean,
they
like,
were.
it's because that LeBron gave the power to the players, and now it's a players league, and like now
Yeah.
that the players are making the moves, the players are
Because
the teams.
Because when the Celtics were created, KG got traded and Ray Allen got traded. But when the Heat were created, LeBron went as a free agent. I think Chris Bosh might have went as it was about sign and trade, but the players forced it out more than KG and Ray Allen did.
For
So
the
it's
record,
became
Chris Bosh was
more
going to go
players.
to Miami before LeBron committed to playing there, just for the record.
Yeah,
So-
that's right.
know
Well,
that. That's
well,
a fact.
the idea happened at the Olympics even before that, and the only
Apparently
reason
discussions happened before.
and the only reason Chris Bosh came was because Melo signed a contract before because he wanted his money, or else it would have been Melo, LeBron, and Wade. That was the original Big Three idea.
Sure. So I think that going back to the original question, if we're talking about on-court influence, I think it's clearly Stephen Curry. If we're talking about influence on the league and how players have now become more empowered because of it, I think, yeah, LeBron is definitely the leader in that because, well, Steph Curry has been with the same team his whole career. So it's very difficult to say he's done anything trailblazing in that aspect of the world. But basketball history says super teams have existed for as long as time itself has. Kareem asked to get traded from the Milwaukee Bucks to go to the Los Angeles Lakers to create a super team with Magic Johnson and that squad in the 80s or late 70s. So it's been happening for as long as basketball has. It's very hard to say what really caused it. I mean, Will Chamberlain asked out of Golden State and Philly, right? And then ended up on the Lakers as well. So let's take a quick second. Case, that was a great question. I think it actually sparked a lot better conversation than maybe it initially thought it would. And I think it went really well. But let's take a second for our sponsor here. And then when we get back, we're doing New Year's resolutions for different teams and different players. And we all took a little bit of time to think about this one. So I'm hoping to truly enjoy it. And I think you will too, listeners. Stick around. And we're back. Again, Happy New Year to you, listener. Today we're doing New Year's resolutions for different teams and different players. Each team thus far has played about 7 or 8-ish games of the NBA season, which is 10% of the NBA season. Believe it or not, we've made it this far. Knock on wood. It's going to be a weird season. We know this. KD's already sitting out because of COVID protocols. Other guys have from time to time. The Rockets missed half their team and had to skip a game here. And so we hope that the NBA continues to do what they do and trailblaze and keep guys safe and good basketballs continue to be played. But boys, like we talked about earlier, this is New Year's. We were hoping to create resolutions for each and every team. And with that in mind, Kays, would you like to start us off today on New Year's resolutions?
Honestly, I think it's fair to have one of our guests go first.
Okay, sounds great. Asif, throw it to you, man. Give us a New Year's resolution to come up with.
Yeah, that was a no-look pass because I didn't see that one coming. Like that. There you go. Thank you. Once again, thank you all for having us. Nav and I are at Bears, Birds, and Brews.
Anytime, man.
Right. Hell yeah. And so, okay, so my first New Year's resolution, the most important one, I feel like it's very valid and it's a good one because it's long-term. I want Trae Young to get more MVP votes than Luka Doncic this year. That's what I want.
Oh, God.
Before any of us jump in and have this conversation, what do you believe that Trae Young would need to do in order to accomplish that? Realistically, let's talk realistic, right? Somewhat realistic.
Okay.
Use resolutions are, when we make them ourselves, we may or may not be realistic about them. So let's maybe dream a little bit, but not too far off the plane here. Fair?
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. So just off the top of my head, again, we're only 7 games into the season, and it's a weird season, even though it's not in the bubble still, right? We can all agree on that. Okay, this might be kind of reach, but and I don't have last year's numbers, but let's say like 32 points a game, uh, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. If he can do that, I think he would be in conversation for MVP for sure, and or at least to get more votes than Luka Doncic. If we're gonna, take LeBron and Curry and KD and Kyrie out of the equation, to get more than Luka, he has to have a better average. The Hawks have to have a better record, and maybe the equivalent of a playoff run, even though MVP is obviously decided in the regular season. But if the Hawks finish 4th in the East and the Mavs finish 6th in the West, then I think you also have to look at that and say, okay, well, he got his team to a better place, even though they're in different conferences. And again, the numbers have to match up and the longevity has to be there. So they each play roughly the same amount of games, hopefully no injuries. And I think it's realistic.
The only right thing to do now is to allow a resident Mavericks fan to rebuttal. And so I'll shut up and let Nabil do that.
All right. So I love Trey. Before I say this, I love Trey. I thought both teams won the trade.
I think you're a liar, but whatever.
Before I say this,
I think
I can't hear anything with Luca's dick in your mouth. Speak clearly.
what you are asking for, it's okay, bro. You got LeBron's dick in your mouth now, so it's all good.
Nah, fuck LeBron.
Yeah. So what you're asking for right now, right?
You want to fuck LeBron, don't you?
Shaban, why are you so late to this?
Shaban, at least he can put it in
He's
from
buffering.
deep.
So
Hey,
last season, he averaged 29.6 points per game, right? They finished
This
one of
is
the worst
Trey
teams.
Young or Luka?
Trey Young. Yeah. Trey
Okay,
Young.
29.
29.6 points per game. He finished one of the worst teams in the NBA. Granted, his team is better this year than it was last year. It's unfair to compare the two teams, in my opinion, honestly. Shot 36% from 3 last season. This year, through 7 games, he's averaging 28.6 points per game on 33% shooting from 3 and averages about 9.1 assists point per game comparative to 9.3 assists per game last year. So what you were asking for is Trey Young to have a career year and take the Hawks to the playoffs in order for him to win MVP. Because I think if he does that,
said to get more votes, more MVP.
oh,
votes
sorry,
than
yes, to get
Luka.
to get more
Yeah.
votes than Luka, yes. Which I think it is doable. I think that's very possible that Trey carries this offense. I don't know if 32 points per game is going to happen simply because he has better shooters around him. He may those assist numbers might go up to an insane amount. With that being said, Luka is a fat boy. He needs to,
As we can see on Shaban's screen.
exactly. Luka has admitted himself this season multiple times that he is not in game shape. He's not ready. Even with that, Luka is averaging about 25 points per game. He's averaging about 6 assists a game. And he's averaging about 7 rebounds a game. This is pre-Luka game shape ready that's already doing this. I think by mid-season, Luka's going to ramp up all of his numbers. I'm not worried about Luka at all. So it should be interesting. Do I think Luka's still going to get more votes than Trey Young? Maybe. We'll see. People are now starting to fall in love with Trey Young, even though everyone on this podcast has been in love with Trey Young since probably his rookie year. I think that's safe to say for everyone. So we'll see.
Safe. Is that safe to say?
Yes, I approve.
Good one.
Nab, I know you have a point to make here. So Nab, that's what you're thinking.
So all I'm thinking is MVP is a popularity contest. You're going to get the votes a year late rather than on time. The only time I can recently remember where an MVP actually won the MVP the year he was doing right was like Steve Nash. And that's because he went from the Mavericks to Phoenix and he made it the number 1 offense. And he also had the best record. I feel like I'm saying something wrong. But
you're not saying anything
No,
wrong.
you're
It's
saying
just-
something
you are.
perfect.
You are. Steve Nash.
Keep
stole that
talking.
shit. Steve Nash stole that shit from Kobe Bryant, but whatever.
which is
That's
fine.
why,
But the
dude.
thing is, it's a popularity contest. And the other thing is, like, if you're not making the playoffs, you're not gonna get the MVP.
Facts. I agree.
Or you're gonna do it like Dirk and go get it from home.
My only rebuttal to that would be, didn't Giannis get MVP like last year, 2 years in a row when he was arguably the best player for his team?
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
better
but
than
the
best
year
team.
before he was just as good, and I think LeBron got it. So he got it a year late. No, Harden got it, and
Yeah,
Harden got it
LeBron
like 2
hasn't
years in a
gotten
row
it.
as well.
Yeah, LeBron hasn't gotten an MVP since 2013.
Probably.
Harden got it 2 years. Harden got it before Giannis, right?
And Russ got it as well
went
that year.
Harden, Giannis. I could be wrong.
And the Russell Westbrook year was the triple double year. I mean,
Yep.
what, like 40 some triple doubles? So
I don't think it is out the realm of
Yeah.
possibility that Trae Young can garner MVP votes, but I don't think it is the numbers that will do it, because we've seen him this year and last year do that. He can put up the numbers. It is the team success that seems to be much more vital. It is rare, truly, Russell Westbrook being maybe the last one who has got picked up an MVP on a team that wasn't a top 2 or 3 team in the league, not just the conference, but in the league. So let's move on. I think that's like a legitimate New Year's resolution that the Hawks and Trae Young can set for themselves, which I like. I like that.
Agreed.
Nab, do you want to give us your first New Year's resolution that you've brought to us here today?
Yeah. Sure. Both of mine are with the same team. It's with the Bulls. So I can give one. The first one is I think this is the more important one. The Bulls gotta rekindle or fix the relationship with Derrick Rose. Either bring it back this year. He's a free agent after this year. Bring him back after that. I mean, you're going to be going through a rebuild-ish. I don't know what you're doing with the roster right now, which is part of my second resolution, but got to bring Derrick Rose back. You got to fix that.
What role do you see Derrick Rose playing in that team? They have guys like Kobe White and Tomas Satoransky that are 2 point guards, and Ryan Arcidiacono is not barely playing at all. So what role is Derrick Rose playing in this team, and why would that help this team at all, except for fan first service, which we know fan service is there, but what else is Derrick Rose doing for this team? Uh-oh, I think we lost Nabil. He's frozen out on us here.
Oh no.
oh man.
Right here, bro.
Oh, sorry. We've lost Nab for a second. So let's take a second. We'll move on from Nab. We'll come back to him. Oh, no. We've got Nab back.
He's gone again.
He's gone again. All right, let's try it again. Look, that's the complexities of doing a podcast with a Zoom listener. I know you've been working with us for the better part of 10 months, and this is what it is. In the meantime, Shaban, do you want to give us your first New Year's resolution, and we get Nab back? We'll jump back to him.
Well, fan service does.
And yeah, he's gone again.
He's back, and he's gone. Shaban, give us your first New Year's resolution, my guy.
Well, it was gonna be the whole Luka and shape thing, but we already kind of touched on that. So I'll go to one of my backups.
Okay.
And the Mavericks need to all sit down and rehash what exactly a pick and roll is. Because a pick and roll isn't all that effective when you don't roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but Luka likes, Swiss rolls.
Yeah.
Right.
Wrong rules, man. Wrong rules.
And dinner rolls.
Well,
Don't
somebody
worry.
has to tell him that.
But I mean, for what it's worth, my old resolution was Luka Magic, more like Luka lay off them Big Macs.
Yeah, that would be nice. Well, I mean, look, the two are important to each other. Meld them together. Talk to us about this pick and roll issue that you think the Dallas Mavericks are having. So
the whole thing is that the Mavericks, they do this weird thing where they set picks and they just like it's like they kind of run like a pick and pop, except the people that actually set the pick, they aren't like effective enough shooters to run the pick and pop correctly.
I want names. Call them out. Give me names.
Maxi
Dwight
Kleba,
Powell.
Dwight Powell.
You guys are
Willie Cauley-Stein.
There it is.
And first of all, I don't know what Willie Cauley-Stein is doing there. It's like Rick Carlisle is telling him, just go out there and have fun.
Like, he gives him a good little smack on the ass, and he's like, go do your job.
Go do your best. Do your very
Carlisle
best.
is
Just like when we have Nabil on the show.
Oh, damn.
Damn, bro.
Case came with the smoke today and had no problem just
Bro,
doing
this
it.
man had a tough day at work.
Oh, look, on the bright side, Rick Carlisle is basically like Lily from How I Met Your Mother and how she coaches a basketball team with orange slices and a guitar, and we're just let kumbaya and let's have a good time until Kristaps gets back, because until then we're not really a good basketball team and we know it. Is that not wrong, Shaban?
Yeah, I mean, like, especially without Luka on the floor, the Mavericks offense does not flow well. As it is, the Mavericks defense is pretty mediocre. So we really do need KP to come back, and he's like a full participant in practice. So I'm assuming that he's probably going to come back around MLK Day. And KP is really that guy that you can run the pick and roll, you can run the pick and pop. He has like the floor spacing ability. He's athletic enough to get to the rim. He's also a bona fide shot blocker. So that'll like bolster our interior defense there instead of, Willie Cauley, whatever. And
you went 2 out of 3 names. I don't know why you stopped there.
Yeah,
Okay, so then
Willie
tell me this.
Cauley Stein.
So then, look, I understand your concern, and I agree with you for the most part because the Mavericks are currently they're 2-4 on the season.
3-4.
3-4 now after a
I'm
win.
so
to the
sorry. They're
Rockets.
still under 500. They're clearly not the basketball team we expected. Everyone on this podcast expected them to be going into the season. We expected them to be better than they currently are. So, Shaban, we talked about it last week, and I will only bring it back up because you're bringing it back up. KP comes back. We all like KP. We hope KP stays healthy, but KP doesn't really like staying healthy from the experiences that he's had in his career. So what do we do if KP doesn't play every single game? We don't have a game plan here, do we?
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Maxi Kleba is actually like playing like relatively well, just not at the caliber of like a starting like.
Shaban wants me to yell at him.
Is this hold on, Shaban, just before we
Shaban, you two were literally shitting on him in the group chat yesterday.
am I talking
Consistent.
to hold on? Am I talking to Shaban, the Mavericks fan, or am I talking to Shaban, the man who hosts the Waterboy and Equipment Manager podcast? Which one am I talking to right now?
I mean, if you look at the numbers, he's not doing a terrible job. He's shooting like 46% from 3, which is admittedly pretty good. A small sample size, I know, but like he can at least like run a pick and pop like correctly, and he can actually like shoot the ball when he needs to. So he'd be like effective, like being a secondary option behind KP when he comes back, but not really as a primary screen and roll kind of guy, because that's the Mavericks pet play. They run that pick and roll all the time.
You know what Kleba can't do, bro? He
Roll.
can't box out as a
Rebound,
center. He can't box out and rebound. Get the fuck off the floor. I don't want you. I don't care.
To be fair, nobody on the Mavericks can rebound correctly.
Yeah, facts. But
That's why Luka's getting big, guys. He can box out.
It all comes back to the Big Max. He's trying to
it's the Kyle Lowry.
He's trying to play the 1 through 5, guys. He's trying to play the 1 through 5.
Look, Nab, I'm going to throw it to you real quick. I have a feeling we're going to have a few different Mavs takes today, so I want to move on because we're probably going to come right back. But did you want to close out this take with Shaban and how we need to put the roll back in pick and roll and they're not Swiss rolls for the Mavericks?
I may have to pass that because I'm not going to lie. I haven't seen enough Mavericks basketball yet. So
it's okay. You're not missing much.
Yeah, you're really not missing all that much. We're losing. That's what you're missing.
We had the first good game.
All right, well, Nab, unfortunately, Zoom mixed with some version of your internet service had let us down the first time. But it's okay. So have the Bulls this entire season. So you're only doing what the Bulls have done all year. Surprise, surprise. Let's go back to your Derrick Rose take. For the listener, at home, let me remind you, Nab would like Derrick Rose back on the team. And I asked him, besides fan service, what does Derrick Rose do for the team?
Well, like one, he could be a leader. I mean, right now, I think he is one of the leaders on the Pistons. So he can be a leader. I mean, we're trying to have a young team. We're going to have a rebuild. We're probably going to get a top 5 pick next year anyway. And if we get a point guard, I mean, that's someone who can be a direct leader. He can be a direct leader on the point guard.
White.
The other thing, one more time.
Kobe White.
I mean, I don't know what Kobe White is. I don't think he's a passing point. I think he's more of like I think more of a 2 guard, but yeah, even Kobe White. But I just don't know what this Bulls roster is. So maybe it's just my own entertainment, and I want Derrick Rose back.
So I appreciate the fact that you're willing to admit maybe it's more fan service than realistic. The sad thing about the Bulls is I would bet well above 51% that Zach LaVine is probably on the trade block and probably won't be a Bull before the end of the season. Shaban, how do you feel about the Bulls and bringing Derrick Rose home? And then what about Zach LaVine?
Oh God, the Bulls are like a weird team, man. Like,
they have been for the better part of at least 7 years now.
Yeah, it's just that like outside of Zach LaVine and probably Kobe White on a good night, Nobody can really like score the ball well enough. They don't play with a lot of pace. It's not really an up tempo kind of team. Also, they're not that great at defense either. Uh, I mean, like, they do have good pieces. It's just a matter of like, do they fit together? It's just kind of like a matter of like,
Yeah.
do you think maybe it's time that you just sell the team? Like Otto Porter's a good piece. You can probably get like you can probably get something for him. Zach Levine stock is pretty high. You can probably get something for him. Kobe White, I think you want to build off of because I think he's going to be like the guard that you want to like really build around because he's an outstanding scorer. And I don't maybe like Laurie Markkinen, you might want to like consider touching on the market for. But yeah, like
you got to stop with the touching joke, Shaban. I'm not enjoying this at all. Come on,
I
man.
mean, they're all question marks. They're all question marks.
So just before we continue on the Bulls, Nab, I want to ask you, what do you think the Bulls rank on opposition points per game? So their defensive rating out of 30 teams, where do you think they rank?
I already know.
Yeah.
Right now,
yes,
29.
Yeah, 30. They're dead last. You're dead close.
You're dead last.
You're damn close.
So I do want to say one thing because you kind of already gave it away. My second nearest resolution was trade Zach LaVine.
What would you like back? Because look, the one thing I've heard time and time again from different podcasts, different writers on ESPN and so on, is Zach LaVine is probably out the door. Understandably so. It seems like he doesn't really match the rebuild timeline that you guys might be venturing down once again. What would you like back from Zach LaVine that makes sense to you? Because I feel like his value is kind of all over the place right now.
It really is because his most value is probably during the draft this year because no one knew what the draft was and everyone knew what Zach LaVine was maybe a 2, probably a 3 on any team.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the best third option you could probably pick up in the offseason. And now, like, if you could trade him, you're going to have a half a year or 1 more year off of his contract. Not to mention, if you keep him, you have to give him the supermax in 2 years, which Zach LaVine is not a supermax player. So you have until the draft this year to trade him, and his value is going lower and lower. At this point, if I can get a couple of first-round picks with a team that's middling, a team that's trying to make the playoff for some reason, that could potentially fall back. Maybe a team like New Orleans. You have a young player in Zion. You just made a big move over the offseason. If you trade Zach LaVine over there, they may miss the playoffs this year somehow, and you could get a first-round pick, and that could kickstart your rebuild. I think the best place for Zach LaVine to go actually is the Mavericks, and I don't know why that didn't happen over the offseason, but that's where I think the best place for him to go is actually.
Okay, well, Mavericks fan Nabil, what do you think? Nab to Nabil, what do you think about the Zach LaVine Mavericks thing?
I would love it, but it's still the same question you asked us last week and you asked us again this week is the injury history and the injury problems. What are Zach LaVine's a good basketball player. I love watching him play, but what are the Mavs achieving by doing this? A guy that can't stay on the floor that often. I already have a Kristaps, so I'm not trying to do this with 2 players now instead of 1. As much as I love, like I said, I love Zach LaVine, but Mavs need to find basketball players.
So just wondering, how many games has he missed over the past 2 years? Because I think he's been he's been recovering ever since his ACL injury back in Minnesota.
I got it up in front of me. Zach LaVine in 2018-19, where there was an 82-game season, played 63 games. And then last year, he played 60 games out of ice, I believe was about 65 or 67 games.
So he played majority of them last
year. He played most of the season, especially last year. And
the year before was coming right off the ACL, so that's understandable. So I think he's fully recovered.
All right, cool. Then I'd love to have Zach LaVine if he's not an injury.
He's got 1 year.
All right, cool. Get me the draft picks. Give me the money. I got
bro, draft picks. Dallas is fresh out, bro. They all went to New York.
Dallas sent them to New York, unfortunately. Case, New Year's resolution, man. Let's come to you for your first one, sir.
I will not go crazy about the Draymond Green hype. This is for me.
Okay.
They're 2-0 since Draymond's been back.
Okay.
And Steph Curry has had 92 points in 2 games. So I will not overhype Draymond's importance.
He can't help himself as he adds all this stuff in there.
Okay, so what's the New Year's resolution?
I'm not gonna overhype Draymond Green on any social media or this podcast.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
that's
fair.
his New
So-
Year's resolution.
That's your personal New Year's resolution about Draymond Green and the Golden State Warriors. Okay, I respect it. So then look, they're 2-0, and according to you, Steph Curry's dropped 1.2 million points since Draymond came back, which probably
92.
1.2 million, same thing, right? Do you think this version of the Warriors in 2 games, super small sample size, I know, and maybe unfair to even ask you, is this sustainable?
Yeah.
Based,
Which comes to my basketball resolution.
okay,
Steph Curry is going to average 30 points a game throughout the season, and the Warriors are going to be a top 6 team in the West.
Oh wow,
my God,
Yeah, that's a hot take.
my
dude,
God.
that last week's
We were
episode,
gonna-
bro, not this week.
We were gonna wait till mid-season to do hot takes, but you decided to bring out the resolution with the hot take. Tell me, besides Steph Curry, because we know Steph Curry is great. I don't think anyone in this pod. We just debated his influence on the game of basketball not that long ago. What is Steph Curry? I asked Asif the same question, so I ask you, what does everybody else around him have to do in order to make that happen? 6th seed in the
Look.
West is a pretty high demand, I would say.
Wiggins is averaging 18 points a game right now, not too shabby. I think he'll have to bump it up 4 or 5 points. And Kelly Oubre is starting to get it going. So, once he gets going, he's also good scorer, great defender. They'll start something next week or two, and then they're going to ride it through the season.
If Steph Curry is currently, if I'm not mistaken, averaging like 32.5 points a game through 6 games right now, or 7 games. Yeah, if he maintains that and the rest of the team formulates around him. Look, the beauty of the last 2 games, I will give you one thing that we've talked about over and over and over again with the Warriors, is it didn't look like he was having fun. Since Draymond has come back, Steph Curry has looked like the Steph Curry that we know
Having
and love
fun,
and genuinely.
which is what I said.
That's fair. Asif, what are your
Just
thoughts
wait.
on the Warriors so far? I know it seems like you're smiling because you're enjoying Steph Curry again. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, no, one, Draymond Green deserves some credit. Sure, we all know it's the hair. Steph got rid of the tight rolls in his hair.
Yes, it is.
Went off for 62. He took it personally, and he's back. Right? I mean, that's he was the MVP once. He knows he can do it again, and I think he realizes like, okay, I don't have Clay, but I do have Draymond, and we still have Steve Kerr, who we've won multiple championships with before. And we don't have KD, but we won a championship without KD. And again, we don't have Clay, but you have Oubre, you have Wiggins. It's almost like a no excuses standpoint. Like when he realized that, hey, if I got to go beast mode every night, shout out to Oakland and San Francisco, right? And Marshawn Lynch, because I mean, he's all about that life. If I got to go beast mode to help us get back to where we were, even if it's 6 in the playoffs, then that's what I got to do, because I have a max contract. I'm a former MVP. I'm a former Finals MVP. I'm a 2-time NBA champion, 3-time NBA champion.
He's not a Finals MVP.
He should have.
Okay, so he's not.
But everything else he is. It doesn't take away from his accomplishments.
Still a
That's
3-time NBA champion already, though, and which is phenomenal, right? And that is his team, right? Even though he's not the Finals MVP, Andre Iguodala isn't there. Klay Thompson, obviously, we know is rehabbing again. KD's not there anymore. Steph is putting it on his shoulders and saying, "Look, if I got to go beast mode, I'm going to do it." He could get MVP again this year because he might have to, just to give the Warriors a chance.
Hey guys, did you know, fun fact, that Asif hosts a football podcast, which is why Beast Mode and Marshawn Lynch seemed to come to mind? I think Asif is pretty good at his job, I would say. And props to you for putting the 2 worlds together. I'm going to start off by saying, Kays, it isn't impossible. Man, it's dependent on health, and I would love to see Steph play 72 games and Draymond play the remainder of the season. And if they do it, this team is not incapable of becoming a top seed in the West. I don't see why not. I'm going to jump to my first New Year's resolution, and boy, let me talk about my buddy, my pal, Russell Westbrook, or Russell Westbrick right now. He has been he has done exactly what K's in the preseason and said he was going to do. Russell Westbrook with another triple-double and another loss for the Washington Wizards, because that's what he's been doing. They're 2-5 on the season so far. And the one of the 2 games they won, Russell Westbrook didn't even play, by the way. My man Russell Westbrook is shooting atrociously, but it's not necessarily because of anything but the fact that he's just taking shots that are poor for him. He's taking bad shot selections. He's choosing the wrong spot on the floor to shoot. And here's the stats. With Houston last year, a year that we talked about in the regular season before the bubble, there was a lot of factors of the bubble. So let's go pre-bubble. He was a very good basketball player, and 41.5% of his shot selections, the shots he took, almost half of them came between 0 and 3 feet from the rim. My guy was yamming it and doing layups half of the time he was taking any shots. And at that time, he's shooting 64% from the field, which is pretty damn good. This year, 16.8% on shots between 0 and 3 feet to the rim. My guy's not even going there 20% of the time. And it's not as though they have some god tier rim running center that is clogging up the paint that Russell Westbrook can't go in there. There's not a Joel Embiid in there clogging up the paint. It's Thomas Bryant, who's a fine shooter, but can move the hell out the way if Russell Westbrook's dominance needs to happen. And so 22.7% from 3 this season out of his entire team of 16 dudes, one of which has not played. So really 15 dudes, he's 15th. His percentage is horrific from 3. Russ, please stop shooting threes. Go to the rim. No one's saying you're not a good basketball player. The problem is you've been a knucklehead when it comes to shooting the ball. Stop shooting the ball. Go to the rim, and your team will clearly thank you. Otherwise, Bradley Beal is going to leave you in the dust in about 12 months, and then you're going to be wondering what the hell happened and why another teammate had decided not to play basketball with you, but still likes you as a person, but doesn't want to play basketball with you, which is a little weird to me. Kays, what are your thoughts on this Russell Westbrook issue? Russell Westbrook issue.
Kays.
Kays is dead on the inside because he knows I love Russell Westbrook just as much as he does. He doesn't.
Honestly, my AirPods cut out. I'm working on it.
All right, well, let's jump to Shaban, who is more than happy to hear the name of Russell Westbrook as much as possible in our group chat. Now's your time on air, my guy.
I love Russell Westbrook.
Liar. I have group chat receipts to prove this.
Facts.
On the WebM group chat,
Facts.
my guy goes after Russell Westbrook every fucking night. I kid you not.
Because I expect so much from him, man. And he had last season, scoring wise, he had his best scoring year in 5 years. 5 full seasons, and last season was his best scoring season, efficiency wise. And now I had a ton of optimism for him that he's just gonna do the same thing he did in Houston. Just forget about shooting threes. He's just gonna go to the rim because he's Russell Westbrook. He can do whatever he wants. He can slash, he can dish, he can rebound, and then he just chucks up these wild threes at the end of games, especially that Nets game, which thankfully they won. But still, he chucked up, I think I count 3 threes in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, and they all just bricked. And I was just so disappointed.
Hence the name, Russell Westbrook. Before we move on from Russell Westbrook and his poor shot selection, Case, I know that you are the one, every time Shaban says anything negative about Russell Westbrook goes, we will not take any Russell Westbrook slander here on the group chat.
Or quite literally just a fuck you.
Well, yeah,
quite
well,
simply
real.
just
He
a
really
fuck
just said,
he
fuck
is
you.
the man of very few words, but dignified and important ones. Can you give us a quick synopsis before we move on to another next New Year's resolution?
Stop shitting on Russ. He's gonna figure it out.
When, though? When?
The problem is not if, bro. It's when.
He will figure it out. This is why it's a New Year's resolution. It's not a hot take session, right? This is the other thing that we want him to change.
Awesome. Shaban's giving you a run for your money. He's good at hosting this podcast thing, too. My guy knows how to bring it all back together and tie it up in a beautiful knot. Kays, do you want to give us your next and hopefully last New Year's resolution before we move on to the next?
You really want my last one?
Well, damn straight I do. I want you to drop a bomb real quick so we can talk about it.
I want Kyrie to shut the fuck up and play basketball.
Keep up the
Jesus.
sage.
I don't know
He's
how
the
much
sage Kyrie.
I don't know how much explanation that needs, but sure, try, Case.
I don't need an explanation, but I'll give you one.
Okay.
In recent history, there was an interview with Kyrie where he's like, well, I've always found that I had to take the last shot by myself, but now I have someone on my team that I feel like can do it just as good or better than me. And they both missed game winners the other day. And that just brought
He had 2 good looks.
warm feelings.
Both he and Durant actually missed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They both missed.
Yeah. And you know, Kyrie, it's like I don't like the phrase like shut up and dribble, but in Kyrie's case,
Oh,
I
God,
just
don't
want
do
to
it.
like dominate
Don't
on the
do it.
floor
You're better than that, Shaban. Don't do it.
and then disappear off the flat earth. Like
I didn't say
mean,
that.
He quite literally
oh.
falls off the earth instead of,
All I'm gonna say is I've never felt smarter after a Kyrie interview. Basketball wise, philosophical
almost every time, by the way.
world wise, I've never felt smarter. I mean,
this man went to
I've seen
Duke.
interviews with LeBron, and I'm like, oh, I know more about basketball now, or I know more about like the environment, or like whatever, like the social environment. I mean, but yeah, like after Kyrie, it's just more like, what?
Look, the beauty of Kyrie is it's such an up and down relationship with him. It's like one week you're like, oh, Kyrie. And then you're like, oh, well, he said some dumb shit like the earth is flat. But look, he paid for WNBA players' salaries because they're missing out on money. And then you do more dumb shit like I don't even know. Right. So it's really difficult to make up your mind. Like Kyrie's clearly not a bad person. He's clearly a good dude.
Yeah.
He's just kind of a little stupid sometimes. That's all it is.
He's a Katy Perry song. He's a Katy Perry song. He's hot, then he's cold.
Fair point.
I thought you were gonna say he's a plastic bag drifting through the wind.
You know
Same
what?
thing.
I think Kyrie would be more than happy to be described as both those things today. And that's the beauty of Kyrie Irving. Nabil, do you have a resolution for us for the NBA?
So one team that has scathed all of our resolutions, surprisingly, actually, is the Houston Rockets.
Oh God, no.
And I think Houston has a very simple resolution. I don't think they have to do a whole lot. I think they need to make James Harden his own stay-at-home strip club so that he's staying COVID safe 24/7. He's never leaving his place. He's good to go. You know, he'll be fine, right? James Harden will always be ready to play basketball. And think about it. Will James Harden leave Houston if they make him his own strip club?
No.
You could even call it Hardens.
Oh no.
I
stop.
believe you're looking for hard-ons.
No, that's still
No, like a den, bro. Like dens.
Hard den.
dens.
The hard in. The hard in.
Oh,
Like, you know,
wait,
like
now
an
we sound
inn.
like, hold on. We sound like we're making a prostitution ring, not a strip club, bro.
I'm
Two
just
completely different things.
I'm just glad that when Case posts the podcast, he always marks explicit because if we have listeners underage, I feel horrific.
I host a podcast.
And I just hope you're not listening with your parents. That's all. But Nabil, continue on with this building a strip club thing. I kind of like where you're going.
All right. I that was my joke. I got that out of the way. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. But in all seriousness, can we please? I know James Harden's hurt, so it's not really Houston's fault. But maybe we can get James Harden to stay in Houston. In all seriousness, if he plays more basketball with with John Wall. That one game they played together, although they didn't shoot well, they looked really, really good together. James Harden shot, I think, 43% from the field, and John Wall shot 40%. Jesus, I'm going to struggle with their names for the rest of the season. You know, they looked really good together. They spaced the floor really well. They took some shots away from PJ Tucker, but honestly, who gives a shit? It looked like a good cohesive offense, even if they lost. It's just a matter of making their shots. So I would love to see them stay. And I think if James Harden plays with John Wall, that they'll end up figuring it out. And maybe he'd want to stay, and they can try to actually build something out in Houston without having to trade away their number one asset.
So, Case, between the building the strip club in Harden's potential backyard and playing more basketball with John Wall, which do you think is more likely to keep Harden in Houston?
Winning
That's
with
probably
John Wall.
Okay, fine. Whatever. We're a basketball podcast, listener. What'd you expect from one of our hosts on the basketball podcast? Asif, you have a point to make here?
Well, okay, it's not so much a point, but it's an actual question. Like, who's the Rockets coach right now? Because obviously they got rid of. I like to call him Mike Antony because they never played any defense, so they got rid of him.
Well done.
And I feel like,
Well done.
thank you. And I feel like that would obviously have an impact. Plus, to your point, Nabil, Harden and Wall is a lethal combination. You know, I mean, like, there's no reason for them not to compete at least, and gain ground on some teams like the Mavs who are not running up to speed yet. So why not rack up those wins and create yourself a cushion early, and at least set yourself up easier for the playoffs if you can do that now, and which would enable you to win, of course, right?
I agree. And the strip club may keep James Harden happy enough to play better basketball. Just putting that out there.
Well, I don't.
Just
It'd help
just a
me, I
question
know
on
that.
that. Would he put his own jersey up in his own strip club? Like, would it be
Yeah.
in
So
the
there'll
Raptors
be
in his own
like
strip club?
it'd be all of his signed jerseys or like game worn jerseys on one side. I have got a whole plan for this, guys. It's like a whole like game
need a
worn
girlfriend,
jerseys on
bro.
one side. Bro, we found this out a while ago, not today. On the other side, god damn it, fuck you, Case.
I don't roll that way, bro.
Oh no! All right, Nabil, get to the
Oh,
point. We're
man.
running long. Come on. we gotta go.
Right? So like he'll have like his game worn jerseys on one side, then he'll have like his own jerseys on the other side, like game worns from other guys. And then like the strippers all have to be a fan of James Harden because they're not a fan of James Harden. The Rockets have fucked up again. Like that's like number one key.
Well, that was a pretty fair resolution. Rockets keep James Harden happy. Seems pretty simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Nabil, do you want to go back to back and give us your second resolution?
This one Shaban kind of touched on, but I'm gonna be more direct
Again
about
with
it.
the touching, boys. Relax, okay? Jeez. Right.
Shaban's a nicer Mavs
What is
fan
it
than I
with
am.
these Mavericks fans and touching, bro?
Contact sport.
There's a joke there about the front office issue with the Mavericks from a couple years ago.
I'm not making it, and you're
that
not
I'm
gonna
just
make
gonna
it. either, Bill.
completely gloss over.
Yep.
And Nabil, what's
Oh,
your
yeah, we're not doing that.
your New Year's resolution for the Dallas Mavericks?
My New Year's resolution is pretty simple, and it'll help when KP comes back. But they should start doing it ASAP, immediately, like tomorrow. Stop playing Dwight Howell. Powell. I can't even say his name right. I'm that mad. He is trash. He sucks. I understand he's coming off an Achilles injury, but Jesus Christ, bro. So is KD, and KD looks like KD right now. Dwight Powell, you look like you don't belong in the NBA, and that is sad.
He's clearly not ready.
No, either they rushed him back. I don't know what the case is. I've never hated a basketball player on the Dallas Mavericks as much as I do right now. And Rajon Rondo was on the freaking
Alright,
team.
that's a damn lie.
What's the problem with Dwight Powell? What is the on-court issue that you have a serious issue with?
His defense is lacking. His defense is not good at all. He doesn't rebound well, which again, Shaban touched on it. No one on the Mavs right now is rebounding all that well, and that's fine.
Again with the touching.
Get over it. I'm gonna continue to say it. Jesus.
The man is heated, but yes, he doesn't rebound well, and he doesn't
He
play.
doesn't rebound well. His defense is absolutely atrocious, and even the shittiest big men just get past him like it's nothing. And even the more athletic guards will literally pump fake ones, and Dwight's 10 feet in the air, easy layup for the guard that's in the paint. There's a lot that's wrong with Dwight Powell right now, and I do agree with Shaba. Maybe they rushed him back. Achilles does take a long time, and he did what Shaban. He was out for basically a whole year, a little bit more than that.
Yeah, pretty much. He played 40 games last season, and he was like averaging like 63% from the floor. I mean, admittedly, like most of his shots were coming from up close to the rim, and now he's just like averaging about like 47% from the floor, and he's like shooting pretty much the same shots.
And one thing Shaban and I discussed off the podcast was he does not. Shaban touched on the pick and roll, but he's not good at pick and pop either. Last season, he at least shot like 33% from the 3-point line, to where if he stopped at the 3-point line, I wouldn't mind giving him the basketball if Luka's getting double teamed. Now I don't even want Luka to look his way because he's gonna freaking miss, and I don't care to see it. There's just a lot wrong with Dwight Powell, and I hope he gets better. I hope it is just the Achilles and he rebounds from it. Well, he won't rebound from it, but he'll come back from it.
Oh, the defeatist mentality of Nabil was really just like for those watching on YouTube, his face was just everything you need to know about the 3 and 4 Mavericks right now. But to be quite honest with you, between the mixture of Shaban and Nabil, we've talked way too much about the Mavericks. I'm about ready to move on. They're not a good basketball team right now, and until Kristaps comes back, they might not be. Okay, let's move on. Shaban, do you have a second one that we can go with that's not Mavericks related, hopefully?
Yes, I'm actually gonna go the opposite direction,
I don't know what that means.
and I'm gonna go.
He's going to where all their draft picks are.
There it is.
Okay.
Jesus.
In New York.
I'm going to the New York Knicks, and I'm looking right at Julius Randle, and this guy has been incredible to start this season off, and I want him. This is my resolution for him is to make that push into all-star status and to win the most improved player award. He is shooting the lights out. He's shooting about 40% from three. He is sorry. he is getting 11 rebounds a game, and he's dishing out 7 assists, up from like 3 assists last season. He has been playing phenomenal. He had a pretty huge triple double the other night up against I believe it was Cleveland. He had a huge triple double against. He had like 28 points, 11 assists, 12 rebounds. Admittedly, it's the Cavaliers, but still.
Hey man, that's the 6th seed in the East right now. That's a good basketball team.
Shut up.
Hey, you're talking about the Knicks. You don't talk to me about the Cavs. They're equally bad.
And we just talked about the Atlanta Hawks. The Knicks beat the Hawks, and Julius Randle had 28 points, 17 rebounds, and 9 assists. And he hit like 11 of 19 from the floor. This guy is incredible, and we've kind of like known this. He's always been a good player, but the fact that he is making the sort of jump now from like his days on like the Lakers when he broke his leg on like one of the first games. I think it was the first game of his career.
Yeah.
And he has come such a long way. He is I'd say he's one of the best players in the East right now. And I want him to make that push into all-star status this season.
So I'm gonna make a little bit of a connection because I think I can do this. Let's try it. Ready?
Yeah.
So Nab, Tom Thibodeau was the coach when Derrick Rose was the youngest MVP in the league, when Joakim Noah was one of the youngest guys to get a top 3 MVP vote, and he turned Jimmy Butler into some form of Jimmy Butler that was legitimately good. Could this be the Tom Thibodeau effect on Julius Randle being a better basketball player than he's ever been before? Nab,
exactly. I was going to say, like, right before you hopped in, that sounds like Joakim Noah going better once Tom Thibodeau got there, especially when he said passing, because Tom Thibodeau has always made his big men pass the ball. He runs the ball through the big man. So you saying that Julius Randle is going from 3 to 7 assists, that's just Tom Thibodeau right there. And not taking away from Julius Randle, it's more of like it's all coming together, and Tibbs might be the guy to fix the Knicks.
Maybe. The beauty of it is clearly this was always there in Julius Randle. Tibbs, like you said, is the guy that's putting it together. Tibbs is not doing something with Randle that couldn't be done. It's just you got to unlock that to the next level. I don't think it's unreasonable at all. This is a very realistic New Year's resolution. He could win Most Improved. He has been really good. I mean, he's unplayable now. Like, you can't take him off the floor. He's the best player on the freaking Knicks, which isn't saying a whole lot, but it's saying something because
it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for Obi Toppin though, because
well, yeah, but Obi Toppin's out right now, and Julius Randle's killing it. On the bright side, this could potentially, he's 26, right? The other pieces of the Knicks, Obi Toppin, I believe, is like 23, so he's a little bit older. RJ Barrett's 21. Maybe Julius Randle is that trade piece you need to turn into another young asset that could become something, because maybe Julius Randle isn't in your plans going forward. Shaban, is there a chance that the Knicks could turn him out? He's expiring contract this coming year, I believe, right?
No, I don't think there is a chance, and not because like Julius Randle's like drafts. Not Julius Randle. His trade stock isn't very high because it very much is. But just because it's the Knicks and they make very poor decisions.
Well, they've got Leon Rhodes and Tom Thibodeau. Maybe they have turned the leaf to a new version of the New York Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Also, like, while we're on the Knicks, like, shout out to RJ Barrett. He's like scoring like 18 points a game now. He's made a pretty big jump. Efficiency wise, his numbers haven't changed. He's just playing more minutes.
He's killing the efficiency of my fantasy basketball team. Besides that, he's a very good basketball player. Case, can I get a fuck the Knicks before we move on from the Knicks?
Fuck James Dolan.
James Dolan. No, the team.
All right, Case, do you want to bring us in with your second and hopefully final New Year's resolution?
Is the number 2 repeated? Because I gave you both of them.
Oh, did you give me both? My apologies. Asif, do we want to go to you for your second?
Yeah, so I actually came up with the basketball one while we were having this last discussion. And real fast, since we mentioned RJ Barrett, I know this is an NBA podcast. I am a huge Duke Blue Devils basketball fan. So for you college basketball fans out there, I love Duke. Shout out to RJ Barry. Shout out to Zion. Kyrie, I guess, even though he's crazy. Anyway, okay, so my
Weird.
second.
A Lakers fan and a Duke fan. Weird.
I know. And
There's
on
a
our
wagon
podcast,
that you're
I'm the
on right now,
resident-
bro.
I don't co-host a show with him, so I wasn't gonna say it, but I'm glad you did now because somebody needed to say it. That's all I'm saying.
That wagon's
I'm a-
been hitched.
yeah,
I'm a Laker fan, but I'm not gonna hitch my wagon to Duke. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna hitch my wagon to good basketball. But anyway, Asif, what's your New Year's resolution for?
Yeah. So this ties in perfectly because on our podcast at Bears, Birds, and Brews, I'm the resident Falcons fan on the show. Didn't get to say that earlier. We talk about Atlanta and Chicago sports. We have a saying on the show, Atlanta gonna Atlanta. So my second New Year's resolution is I want Mike Budenholzer to break the Atlanta curse of succeeding, right? Like because the Bucks took an early exit out of the playoffs last year, arguably unnecessarily with the defensive player of the year, former MVP, reigning MVP, whatever Giannis is, supermax Giannis. But I think the reason they didn't succeed is because that Atlanta cloud and Mike Budenholzer took it from here to there, and that's why they're not doing it. So, like, as much as it would hurt me to see them succeed because they are in the East, it would be nice for Mike Budenholzer to get that Atlanta, hangover off his back and actually do something significant on behalf of our city, even though he's not the coach here anymore.
That's fair. I mean, look, we've been talking about the Milwaukee Bucks and the hope of success for them for quite some time. However, I think the face that Nab is making is Mike Budenholzer has very little ties to Atlanta. I don't think he's breaking any curse for us here in Atlanta anytime soon. Nab, did I nail that on the head for you?
Exactly. I have no idea what that meant. I was just like, what? Budenholzer has nothing to do.
Buden, if you guys remember
I
Mike
don't know.
Budenholzer from Atlanta to now, my man is enjoying the Milwaukee cheese curds like
Yeah.
no other, bro. Holy cow. I can't talk shit.
I hate Milwaukee. I hate everything Milwaukee. I mean, I hate the
Just
Packers.
a
I hate
heads
the
up,
Bucks.
people in Wisconsin drink the most liquor in
Huh.
all of America.
All right, I'm
And beer.
booking a
and
flight
cheese.
to Wisconsin right now.
Shaban's like, say less.
Right.
Pandemic or not, let's get warm. But no, hey, Shaban, no touching in Wisconsin. That's not how they do things over there, okay? With your little Mavericks looking ass. I think we've hit everybody. Nab, have we hit your second one as well?
Yeah, it was the Zach LaVine, but I got one random one.
Okay.
And this is probably not going to work out, but I'm going to throw it out there. This is a resolution to the NBA. Find a way to get the Oklahoma City Thunder to have less draft picks. Because I think they have like 80 within the next 5 years.
I don't know what
They do have a shit ton of draft picks.
on the bright
They
side.
have 8 of the top 10 picks in the 2024 draft.
Oh, stop.
well, the projected top 8, right? But they've got 8. My last New Year's resolution before we, finish out the show is another one relating to the Washington Wizards, because why is it so bad that I just want to see Russell Westbrook happy? Is that really so bad? So I'm going to come back to the Washington Wizards. They score 118.6 points per game, which is the third most in the NBA. That's, I would say, a pretty good offense. That's a team that should be successful. However, they give up 120 points per game, and that is the third worst in the NBA. At least they're consistent on where they like to place. They're the third best offense and the third worst defense. Clearly, they're a good basketball team when it comes to scoring the ball, but their 2-5 record for literally no defense is what has hurt them. My New Year's resolution for the Washington Wizards is just to put some effort into defense. If you put 10% more effort, you'd probably be about league average. And league average is probably good enough based on your offensive ability to be a good basketball team, a competent, good basketball team. That's all I'm asking for. Just be league average. That's not that hard to do. Maybe. I don't know. They're 27, so maybe it is hard to do. I don't know. The Washington Wizards have just been so disappointing because it's a basketball team that we talked about in the preseason as the team that could and should compete for a playoff spot here in the Eastern Conference. And right now, they are far from it at 2-5. Before we go, boys, is there anything else? Asif, I know you had one that was not basketball related. Now would be a good time. Do you want to bring it in?
Oh, man. Okay. I'll just say real fast, and this is a great plug for our podcast. So we are a football podcast. We talk about the Falcons, the Birds, and craft beer, or the Falcons, Bears, and craft beer, but all football, all sports, Atlanta, Chicago. So my New Year's resolution, and safe, this is kind of relevant to you because it's somebody you like. I said this on our episode last week for our listeners who listen to our show, which is I want Matt Ryan to beat Tom Brady one time. It still hasn't happened. He's like 0-8 after last weekend. He's like 0-8 against Tom Brady. And I told you guys yesterday when you were on our podcast for this week, which, by the way, go check it out at Bears, Birds, and Brews. I said my New Year's resolutions will age well into the year because the MVP race has yet to be decided. Milwaukee Bucks playoff run yet to be determined. And now the next NFL season, the next time Matt Ryan even has a chance to beat Tom Brady will not be until 8 or 9 months from now. So that's my New Year's resolution is I want
unless Matt Ryan gets traded.
Nab, shut up. Don't do this.
Right.
Don't do this.
Right. Which we talked about on our episode when you guys were on our episode yesterday. So shout out to y'all for coming on to at Bears, Birds, and Brews. We talk NFL playoffs, college football final at Bears, Birds, and Brews. Those are our resolutions. That's all I got. And I don't know if we're gonna wrap it up, but wanted to get that in. And that's my final one, man.
Shaban,
it has to happen.
Shaban, before we go, do you want to say goodbye to the listener and anything else before we close out here?
Yeah. One last resolution for me. I want Steph Curry to win MVP. That's it.
I don't think. Look,
that's more of a wish.
That goes hand in hand with what Case talked about the Warriors just being good, and that's going to reside in Steph Curry's wheelhouse. Nab, before we get out of here, anything else? Any goodbye comments?
Since I'm on a basketball podcast, I might as well quote Spencer Hawes. Show you love.
Spencer Hawes.
Case, anything else, man?
Packers are winning the Super Bowl.
Wow. Let's see Aaron Rodgers not choke. But until then, my name is Saif Basaria, and for Bears, Birds, and Brews, as well as the Waterboy and Equipment Manager podcast, listener, thank you for listening. YouTube, thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. See ya!
Peace.
Bye.
Bryant for the win! Bang! Trubisky for 3. You got